Good morning, welcome to another reading vlog. It is Saturday and I wanted to start the vlog now because I'm about to head into town to check out a new independent bookshop that's just opened. I think it opened a few weeks ago, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, that's the plan for this afternoon, is to look around at that bookshop. I think it's also a cafe, so I might get a coffee or something while I'm there. Yeah, it's really cool because when I moved here about a year ago, there were no independent bookshops in town, and now there are two, and Waterstones, so it's actually pretty decent for book shopping because there's lots of second-hand bookshops as well. Reading wise this week, it is currently the 19th of August, which means we're into week 3 of the magical readathon. We've got just under 2 weeks left and I only have one more book that I need to read to complete my TBR, and that is Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. I'm going to be reading this on my Kindle because it's on KU, but my partner read this recently and thinks I'm going to really enjoy it, and he's also just ordered the hardback, which should arrive in a few days. But yeah, that's going to be my main reading goal for this week, and then I might mood read afterwards. I want to start a new audiobook because I'm currently listening to Matthew Perry's biography, but I've only got like 20 minutes left, so I should finish that as well this weekend. The only problem is I have been restricted by Scribd quite significantly. So if you have a Scribd subscription, then you'll know that sometimes if you listen to too many audiobooks in 1 month, then they'll restrict you for a few weeks. So I do really want to read the next Robin Hobb book, which is City of Dragons, I think. So I do really want to read this. I was meant to read this for a magical readathon prompt, but I ended up swapping some stuff around because Scribd wouldn't let me read it. I was ready to read it and they said no. So I think I can start this on the 24th of August. That's when my restriction gets lifted. And this is actually a really short audiobook. I can't remember exactly how long it is, but it's the shortest Robin Hobb book so far. Actually, Assassin's Apprentice might be the shortest. I'm not sure, but that is also on my radar for this week. And then I might pick up a thriller. I actually started a thriller before Scribd banned me. It was really annoying because I listened to the first few chapters and then it went into the restricted pile, and that's never happened to me before. Usually when I get restricted on Scribd, it's for books that I haven't started. So yeah, that was really annoying. Otherwise though, I am also still knitting the cat that I started in my vlog a few weeks ago. So I'll try and remember to update you on my progress with that. But yeah, I think that's everything that I needed to say in this intro. I will catch up with you when I've started Blood Over Brighthaven.
There's some heavy weight on your shoulders. The sparkle walk right out of your eyes. Some seasons of life might get colder, but I miss summer days and we laugh till we cry. Wear those freckles, your badge of honor. Go barefoot, you know you wanna. Darling, take a load off. You don't gotta show off. You can let your hair down, set it free. Give yourself a chance to breathe. Take a load off. You've been going non-stop. Ain't nobody else you need to be. Let's go wild, you and me.
So I realised I forgot to mention earlier, it's also the magical readathon all-nighter this weekend. So I've been watching sprints on G's channel this afternoon while listening to my audiobook and doing my knitting. So I don't think I've actually showed this in a vlog recently. I think the last time I showed my progress in a vlog, I hadn't even started stitching the cat together. So it actually looks like a cat now. I've just made one of its feet, legs, I don't know what to call it. Pause. I am going to take a break from listening to audiobooks now because I finished the audiobook that I was currently listening to and I want to start Blood Over Brighthaven. I've heard that the first chapter is incredible, so I'm really excited. I don't think I mentioned, again, earlier, but Emma Wang is the same author who wrote The Sword of Kaigan. Yeah, that's one of my favourite books of the year so far, so hopefully this is going to be another favourite. It's Sunday afternoon, and so far today I have ran a 5k race, which I did this morning, and then I met up with some friends for Sunday lunch because one of my friends had a baby a few months ago, and I finally met him today, and he's really cute. But yeah, that's been my day so far. I am exhausted. So I am going to do some reading this afternoon, but I might also watch the Red, White and Royal Blue movie that came out recently because I still haven't got round to watching it. I almost said reading it then. I haven't got round to watching it yet, so I might do that this afternoon. I do also want to read some more of Blood Over Brighthaven. Started this last night and already I'm nearly 20% of the way through, which I am really happy with considering the chapters in this are not short. I don't think I actually explained what this book is about, but basically it's a standalone fantasy that also has dark academia elements. So it's set in this city called Tiran, which is powered by magic. So there are these mages within the city who can use magic. It's very much ingrained within the city. Like, there's a lot of stuff within this city that relies on magic. So there is a university where magic is taught, and we're following a main character called Siona? Need to look up how to pronounce that, but she is about to take this exam to potentially become the first ever female high mage. It's a very misogynistic and sexist society, and it's been a little bit overwhelming so far. Like, it's not too much at the moment, but I feel like we've established now that this society doesn't treat women very well, so I want us to move past that now. So I'm really hoping that side of things calms down a little, but the magic system in this is really intriguing because it's almost like programming language. So from what I understand, these mages use a type of typewriter, I guess, or keyboard to write out the spell and then execute it. Really intrigued so far, and the atmosphere is exactly what I want it to be. So yeah, very excited to read some more of this, hopefully this evening. It's not the longest book, and especially because it's a standalone, I feel like it's going to move relatively quickly, but I will let you know possibly tomorrow if I get to the halfway point. I don't know whether I should aim for that this evening or whether that's a little ambitious, but yeah, really enjoying this so far. Good morning, happy Monday. I, unsurprisingly, did not make it to the halfway point of Blood Over Brighthaven last night. I did read a little bit. I think I'm currently around 37 or 38% of the way through, and I am really liking it so far. I really like the world building, which is cool because I do sometimes find with standalone fantasies that the world building can feel too intense because obviously there's not as much time as there is in a series to build the world. But because this is mostly taking place in a university, there's a student-teacher dynamic which I really like, and it feels like a really natural way for us as the reader to learn about the magic and the politics and the history of this society. The main character, Siona, is basically working with this guy called Thomil, who's a Quen. So this city of Tiran is located inside a protective bubble, and the place outside of this bubble is known as the Quen. So people from the Quen are not treated very well within society inside the bubble. There's a really interesting dynamic between Siona and Thomil, and I'm interested to see how that develops because already Siona is starting to question stuff that she's always been led to believe, and I think she's starting to learn that maybe not all is as it seems. I feel like secrets are going to be revealed, and I'm very excited about it. I really like this so far. I am hoping that I can get to that actual halfway point tonight. It's not reading too slowly as well, considering the chapters are quite long. I am powering through it. Every time I pick it up, I feel like I'm there and it's really absorbing, and yeah, I'm liking it so far. It is now Tuesday and I have quite a few updates to go through this afternoon, but first of all, look what arrived yesterday. So this is the hardback edition of Blood Over Brighthaven. I am still reading this on my Kindle, but I've put my bookmark in just so you can see how far into it I am. I'm actually nearly 60% of the way through this, and I'm a little bit obsessed, I'm not gonna lie. I am really enjoying the direction that this is going in, and one of my favourite feelings to get from a book is that feeling of realisation where you know something is going on but you can't work out what, and then it clicks into place and it just feels so satisfying. Really enjoying everything about this. I don't think I actually have any criticisms right now. The main character is really interesting to follow. She's not likeable, I would say. I mean, I don't dislike her. She's very ambitious, and that drive sometimes makes her feel a little bit frustrating because she's got this tunnel vision of she wants to achieve this and she's going to do everything to achieve it. There's also themes of religion and faith in this, which I'm really appreciating. I think it's just really clever the way that it's been written, and I'm not going to compare this even to The Sword of Kaigan because I think they're two very different books. Even though this is also quite dark in places, they're just completely different in my opinion. However, what I will say is that if you enjoyed Babel by R.F. Kuang, or even if you liked the idea of Babel but you didn't like the execution of the story, I think give Blood Over Brighthaven a go, because again, these are very, very different. Like, this is fantasy in an alternative history, and this is high fantasy in a completely new world. I think the writing in both is good, but at times Babel felt too much like a textbook, and I prefer M.L. Wang's character writing as well. So that's the closest comparison I can give at the moment. It's not a perfect comparison, but yeah, would really recommend this at this point. Obviously, it could all go downhill. I've still got like 200 pages left or something like that. I'm on page 305 and this is just over 500 pages, so I'm hoping to actually finish this tonight. I have started another book. I've started listening to an audiobook. Is it called The Samaritan by John Mars? I'm going to double check on Scribd. It's literally the only audiobook I can listen to on Scribd at the moment because they've blocked the entire of my saved list otherwise. So yeah, I'm currently listening to The Good Samaritan by John Mars. John Mars being the author of The One, which is one of my favourite thrillers. I'm not enjoying this one as much. It's basically about a woman who works for this helpline, which feels very similar to The Samaritans. So she takes calls from people who are struggling or who need someone to talk to. Not sure I like the direction this one is going in, but I do really like the audio. I think it's well narrated. So hopefully I can listen to some more of this as well. I really want to finish this by Thursday because that's when the rest of my saved books become available. I think I've got about 3.5 hours left on 2 times speed, so that should be doable. I'm gonna go for a walk now on my lunch break and listen to some more of this. And then, yeah, this evening, the plan is to hopefully finish Blood Over Brighthaven. last night I did end up finishing Blood Over Brighthaven by Wang, and the ending to this was so intense. The last 200 pages I read in one sitting because I literally couldn't put it down. So I'm giving it 5 stars. I don't know actually if I preferred this to The Sword of Kaigan, even though this was also dark and it also was emotional in places. I think I had a more visceral reaction to The Sword of Kaigan, but this felt more polished. So if you've read The Sword of Kaigan, you'll know that it's technically a standalone, but it's also tied into a wider series, so the ending isn't the best. However, this did feel like a standalone, and I would really recommend this as a standalone dark academia fantasy. The world building and the magic system in particular felt really well developed, and yeah, I felt like I was there in this industrial utopian city. I thought the setting was done really well. I also liked how this had a lot of social commentary. However, my one criticism was I didn't love how the sexism and the misogyny continued throughout the whole book. I didn't think it was really needed. There would be characters who would randomly say something that was sexist or misogynistic, and it felt a bit jarring. It just felt a bit heavy-handed and clumsy, and I think some of that could have been taken out, because after the first few hundred pages I kind of got the sense of this society and I kind of understood what kind of society it was, so I didn't need to be reminded constantly. But that was my only criticism. I loved this book so much. I think it is one of my favourite books of the year, but The Sword of Kaigan is also one of my favourite books of the year, so I don't know whether I need to pick a side and choose one. But yeah, would really recommend this, and I am glad that I read it. I am also currently, I think, 60% of the way through The Good Samaritan by John Mars. I listened to some more of this today. I've got about an hour and a half left, so I might try and finish it tonight. I might do some knitting while I listen. I am liking it, but it's not like amazing. The problem is that the audiobook narration is so good. The characters feel like real people, and the characters in this are unhinged. I think I mentioned we're following this woman who works for a company that's very similar to the Samaritans, so people call up this helpline when they need help. So it's usually people who are struggling with depression, and instead of helping these people, this woman encourages them to take their own lives. It's very, very dark, like massive content warnings for suicide, and I think I'm just not really liking the direction that this is going in, but I do like the narration. So like, I've never considered DNF in this. There have been some surprises which I didn't see coming. Some stuff I have found predictable, but there have been a few moments in this that I have liked. So yeah, it's feeling like a pretty standard 3-star thriller at the moment, but I might really like the ending and bump it up to a 3.5 or a 4 stars. But yeah, I am hoping, like I said, to finish this either tonight or tomorrow. Good morning. It is now Friday. I didn't vlog yesterday because I was in a bad mood. However, I did finish a book. So I finished listening to The Good Samaritan by John Mars, and I kind of hated the ending to this. It was really unsatisfying, so I don't know what I'm gonna rate it. I think I'm gonna go with a 3 stars because I didn't hate the whole book. It was really dark and twisted and messed up, so yeah, I don't feel like I can recommend it because, oh my gosh, it was a lot at times. Massive content warnings for suicide and discussions around suicide. I will continue to read John Mars's books though, because I do really like his writing, and I like how he always throws in a few twists that I don't see coming. So yeah, glad I finished this yesterday. I did also start City of Dragons by Robin Hobb. I'm listening to the audiobook again, but I only read the first few chapters yesterday, so don't have many thoughts on that at the moment, although I am really intrigued about the characters we're going to be following in this. I feel like we're going to be following characters that we haven't followed yet in this series, which is really interesting. So I'm going to continue to listen to that over the weekend. And then I also want to start another book physically. And the book that I'm leaning towards is The Lying Game by Ruth Ware, which is the last book that I need to read from Ruth Ware's backlist. I am convinced that I read this years ago because the synopsis sounds like something I've read before, but I don't know whether that's just because it's given standard thriller, and it's quite an old thriller as well. I think it came out in like 2016 or 2017, but this is due back at the library on Tuesday, so I'm going to try and read this over the weekend. I do tend to read Ruth Ware's books quite quickly, so I should be able to finish it in a couple of days, but otherwise I don't have much planned this weekend. It's actually a bank holiday in the UK. I do need to pop into Birmingham though, annoyingly, because I ordered some clothes online and the pair of jeans that arrived don't fit me, so I need to go back and swap them or get a refund. But that's the only thing I really need to do this weekend. Otherwise, I'm going to have plenty of reading time. I think I might also be going out for a meal on Saturday night, but that's not set in stone, so we'll see if that actually happens. But yeah, I will catch up with you once I've got some reading updates. I think I am going to try and start The Lying Game by Ruth Ware tonight. So I am currently halfway through The Lying Game by Ruth Ware, and I would have updated you with some thoughts on this sooner, but nothing has happened in this book. I'm on page 170 something and literally nothing has happened yet. I mean, it has been introducing us to the characters and establishing their relationships, but the characters in this are so frustrating. The main character that we're following is called Isa, I think is how you pronounce her name, and when she was 15 or 16 she went to this boarding school where she became friends with 3 other girls. So the 4 of them were this very tight-knit friendship group that was more like a clique. They used to play this game called The Lying Game, where they would lie to people and they would see how far they could push it, and then something happened, and I think we do now know what happened back then. We still don't know the full story because, like I said, nothing much has really happened in this book. I am still liking the atmosphere. There are a few chapters that were told in the past where we followed them at school, and I really liked those chapters. I really enjoyed The It Girl by Ruth Ware, which has a university setting, and I think she writes that setting really well, but the present day timeline is just dragging, and it feels like it's taken forever to get to the point. So yeah, feeling very frustrated about this book, but it's still perfectly readable, so I am hoping to read the last 150 pages today. Actually, I think this is 350 pages, 400 and something. I don't know why this matters, but yeah, it's 370 pages, so I actually have 200 pages left, but I am hoping to finish this today. I was gonna pop into town, and by town I mean Birmingham, today. However, I can't be bothered, so I'm gonna go tomorrow instead. I need to edit as well today because I spent over 2 hours yesterday filming a bookshelf tour. I've edited the bulk of it, but I still need to do some like little tweaks and stuff, but that should be the next video that's going live after this vlog, so look out for that if you are interested. I also still need to watch the Red, White and Royal Blue movie. I might do that now actually and do some knitting alongside it. It's still quite early. I think it's like 10 o'clock? Okay, it's 10:30. So it's still quite early. So yeah, I might watch Red, White and Royal Blue this morning and do my knitting, and then I'll finish The Lion Girl this afternoon or this evening.
Heard it from a friend, she was in our bed, should've known better. Said it was the truth, she came onto you, yeah, but you let her. Knocked me over 10 feet forward. Never knew I could sleep alone good, I've never been better.
So last night I did end up finishing The Lion Game by Ruth Ware, and I ran it through Corpile because I could not work out how to rate this book. I think I'm leaning more towards a 2 stars over a 3 stars. It did feel like it's somewhere between a 2 and a 3 stars, but when I compare this to books that I've given 3 stars, I didn't like this one as much, and it's a shame because I don't feel like it did anything wrong. It was just really boring. Like, the stakes didn't feel high enough to me, and I think they could have felt higher. Like, Ruth Ware, I know, is really good at writing tension because that's the feeling that I've got from some of her other books, but I didn't feel anything while reading this. There was a little bit of friendship drama, but it's not a thriller and it's barely even a mystery. Like, the mystery to me just felt very bland, and I do feel quite bad giving it 2 stars, but this is my least favourite book that I've read by Ruth Ware. However, I have now completed her backlist, which is really exciting. I do want to make a video where I rank and review all of her books, and this is going to be at the bottom. The one positive I do have is that I thought the setting was well written. I do like Ruth Ware's writing, and I did feel like she transported me to this small coastal town. So yeah, 2.5 stars. I'm probably going to round down for Goodreads though. I did also last night finish my knitting project that I think I have mentioned in this vlog. I started this a few weeks ago and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. This is a cat, by the way. I hope that that's obvious, but I'm going to give this to my nan because that's what I usually do with my knitting projects. I give them to friends and family. I am happy with how it's turned out. I'm not quite sure about the arms though. For some reason they look really short in comparison to the rest of the body. I'm not sure if I was meant to stitch them a little bit lower down, but that's how it looked on the photo. So yeah, glad that I finished this. I am going to start a new knitting project at some point. I don't know what I want to make yet though. I'm going to start rambling though and wrap up this vlog. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. My plan is for this video to go live on the last day of August, so the last day of the Magical Readathon. I was going to do a little mini wrap up in this vlog, but I feel like this video is already too long, so I'm just going to go through everything in my reading wrap up that I'm going to do early in September. But yeah, I did finish the Magical Readathon, so I have officially qualified as a scribe, which is really exciting. Let me know in the comments if you've been taking part in the Magical Readathon and how your reading went. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye.